Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome, welcome. I'm super stinking excited to be here. I woke up this morning excited in my heart. Like I woke up. What time was it? It was like 4, and I was like, couldn't go back to sleep because I was excited. And then I woke up at no, it was like 5:30, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I was excited, and then I finally did go back to sleep, and then my alarm went off, and I was like, "Oh no!" And I hit snooze. It was one of those nights, but it was like an exciting night. So that's how I am. Thank you for being here with me, either watching the replay or here live. Either way, let me know you're here. Put in the chat and say, "Hi, Jillian," or "I slept this way." Just let me know you're here, even if you're watching the replay. And what will happen is, if you are watching the replay, tag me, especially if you have questions, and then I'll be notified and I can come back and respond later, even, if it's 2 days from now. Okay. So just make sure you just post in the chat and tag me. Okay. Why are we here? So if you have been following for the last week, I have been focusing on PMS from hell that kills your relationships. And I have a whole series of reels that you can go and watch that gives you 5 tips on what you can do to prevent those PMS, the PMS from hell, right? That kills the relationships. And those work. Those are what I use all the time, really. But it's the starting point of making a difference in your reproductive health, and then, making a difference between you and your partner, right? And so we're here today for me to answer any questions about PMS, about your relationship, about how it affects your relationship, anything like that, from the reels that you have watched throughout the week. So that is why we're here. So what's going to happen is I'm going to answer any questions, and you can put them in the chat, and my awesome tech wizard, Nathan, will tell me them through my earbuds, right? Because I'm legally blind. If you've never been in my universe before, I am legally blind. So I do everything through voiceover. So he will help get that through to me. I'll answer your question. And then if you're watching the replay, just put your question in the feed, and then I'll answer it in the feed there for you. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And then by the end of the day, end of our life here, hopefully you'll have exactly what you need to go forth and help, reduce those PMS from hell. Right. Okay. So we're going to start with the first question. Okay, so the first question is, why do I feel so frustrated and angry right before I start my period, right? Because we all know we have that symptom, right? Like, they even make fun of it in sitcoms and stuff. They make fun of women with PMS, and it's like, it's just like the normal for us to experience it. But do we actually know why? And I think it's important to know why, because then when you realize what's going on and why it's going on, you can kind of take the blame and shame and guilt off of yourself, because it's not just your fault, right? It's not, right? So what's happening is, after you ovulate, right? Actually, right before you ovulate, you have this big explosion of hormones that surge through your system, and that makes you feel sexy, right? Horny, excited. That makes you literally hot, like physically, right? Not just hot because you're sensual, but like hot, like your whole body temperature elevates, right? And that's your body preparing, for ovulation. Well, after you ovulate and there's no implantation, so you haven't gotten pregnant, which most women haven't gotten pregnant, right? We're usually not pregnant. We're usually about to start. The hormone spike starts to decrease. It starts to drop. And that drop is it's important. We need that drop, because as the hormones drop, that's signaling to the body that there was no baby and that you can now bleed. You can now have your period, shed the uterine lining, and prepare for your next cycle, right? But what happens is, if we live in a roller coaster ride of fluctuation of hormones, then after that big spike in your ovulation, there's a huge drop right before you start your period. So it's not like this level thing. It's like, and so when we feel that roller coaster of the up and the down, it literally is like you're riding that roller coaster, and your body, it's like it goes into freak out mode. It's like, oh my gosh, there was all of this energy and now there's not. Now I feel like crap. And your body's like working extra hard to try to elevate or relax those hormones depending on where they are. And so it's adding extra stress on your body. And then you're usually, because if you're around me or in my universe, you're a queen bee. You're working your ass off each day. And so this is happening in your body biologically. And then outside in the physical world, you're getting the kids ready for school. You're launching for a big launch if you're an entrepreneur. You're teaching, you're a nurse, you're doing whatever you need to do, which is another added layer of stress. And then your partner comes in, and they might not be experiencing what you are. They're totally oblivious of this roller coaster going on in your brain and in your body. And they're just a little unsensitive. What makes you feel like they're unsensitive? And so it's just an added added element on your back. And it just makes the whole system crumble. And then you get furious. Then you turn into She-Hulk, right? That's the PMS symptom from hell, where, you're cramping, you're bloated, you have a headache, you have acne, you don't feel sexy, you have all this shit to do, and it's just a big pile of overwhelm. And then She-Hulk comes and just smashes, right? And that's when that friction becomes harmful within the relationship, because it's hard to live compatibly when you're going through that roller coaster, and then your partner's like, what, right? So that's why it all happens. It's not actually your fault, right? It's just a biological thing. So even if your hormones were completely balanced, and as the hormone drops, getting you ready to bleed, and it's just a little drop, guess what? You're still going to feel a little fatigued. That's normal. That's our reality. We're not supposed to be queen bee on that hyper buzz all the time. That's not reality, right? So it just drops a little bit, right? Even when you're balanced. So the reason why you do She-Hulk explosions is because you drop too much. It's a big plummet, right? So that is why. So that's one of the questions. Hope that answers that for you. And if not, just ask another question, put it in the chat. All right, I guess we're ready for the next question. Okay, so this one's fun. So how do I know that the argument was caused by PMS from hell and not just because my partner's being an ass, right? Because there is this fine line, right? Because sometimes that happens. Our partners aren't always cheery, and just like we're not always cheery, right? That's not normal. That's, we're human. We're all human in this human experience. So how do you know the difference? This is how you know. First, if this was like the big clue for me that it was hormone based. So for me, my husband and I, we would fight like clockwork the week before I started my period. And it kept going on and on and on for I don't remember how long, 6 months or more. And I didn't put it 2 and 2 together until I started diving into my hormone health. And I was like, shit, right? That's not normal, right? Like, it's normal to have arguments in a relationship. That's normal. You can't live with anyone and not have an argument occasionally, right? But it's not quite normal for the argument to be like clockwork, right? To be like, I'm in an argument with my husband or your partner, whoever it might be, your lover, and then y'all fighting, and it's like wow, chaos, and then like 2 or 3 days later, you start your period, right? And then all of a sudden, you come out of like this haze, and you look back over the argument, and you're like, what was that even about? What was that? Why did that hurt my feelings so much? Like, so that's how you know that it's your hormones and not just your partner being a jerk, because it will be in a pattern, in a rhythm. It will always start somewhere between 2 weeks to a week before you start your period, right? You'll always get in this argument. And also, you will feel different in your body. Like when your partner speaks to you, it will feel like they're attacking you all the time, even though they're not, right? It'll feel like sandpaper on your skin. Like it will feel like your hair is lifting up off your scalp, right? It will seem like the energy between y'all is repelling each other versus bringing it together. And that is also a sign. It's like any other time your partner and y'all are like magnets, right? You're totally in love. It's fine. You might bicker a little bit, but when it feels like that sandpapery thing, and then you start your period, and then that feeling goes away, and then you're like, oh, they're so cute and cuddly. Oh, I want to watch a movie with them tonight. Then you're more aware, like, oh, okay. It's like when that She-Hulk fog lifts. You're like, oh, darn. What was that? Almost like you're coming out of a dream state. That's usually hormones. Whereas if they're just being an ass, then you're still going to be mad at them like later, because you're going to look back and be like, yeah, that was mean. They did eat all my Oreos, jerk, or whatever it might be. I don't know. So that's how I found it out, right? And there's a whole other layer to this that I could go into, but I won't. I'll save that for another time, unless we have time now. But yeah, I'm going to hold on to that because it's a little deeper into our biology and stuff. But okay. All right. If that didn't answer your question, just post in the chat and I'll get to it. All right. Well, I guess we're ready for our next question. Yeah. So the next question is it normal for me to start experiencing PMS up to 2 weeks before I start my period? And that is, let me say, okay. No, it's not normal. But yes, it might be normal for you in this moment. This is your normal, how you are experiencing your menstrual cycle, is experiencing it where you feel the She-Hulk outrage right around ovulation up until you bleed, right? That might be your normal, but it doesn't have to be. That's not the baseline for the normal for a healthy hormone balance within a female body, right? So typically the PMS symptoms, PMS, right, that She-Hulk, we don't want them to start coming in and like our body's actually experiencing them until 5 to 3 days before we start our period. And that is, when I say experience them, I mean like you barely notice them, right? So a normal PMS is you're a little more fatigued, you're a little more chilly, right? Like you crave more cuddles. You are a slightly more hungry in a way that you just eat more that's on your plate, right? Not big cravings. You just eat a little more that's on your plate, or you go back for seconds and you usually don't. And then that's it. right? Or you might be a little more sensitive and you just are aware of the sensitivity. Like if you're watching a sad movie or a happy movie and you cry a little more easily, right? If you're just like walking in the park and a cute little doggy comes up and sniffs your hand and you're like, oh, cute doggy, you cry a little more. That's all like this normal, like balanced, right? Because like I said, we want it to drop. We want the hormones to drop a little bit to signal to our body, our uterus, it's okay to bleed. It's okay to have that period, right? So there is going to be something that you experience. But when the hormones are super balanced, right, it's just this tiny little drop, and it will start reducing as you balance those hormones from that 2 weeks to a week to 5 days to 3 days until you just start your period and you're like, oh, damn, I started my period today. Well, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, right? So it just happens. It just becomes a part of your normal, right? It doesn't disrupt your relationships. It doesn't make you have debilitating cramps where you can't work, you can't be with your family, right? So when everything is balanced, then it just happens. You just have a period, and then you might cramp for like 3 hours to a day, and the cramping feels like just a sore toothache, right? It's just this like annoying little thing in the background of that's going on in your body, and you can still like go rock climbing or swimming or for a hike, but you also still take care of yourself and rest, because that's important as well, right? So long answer is that can be normal for you now, but if you're looking to alter that, it can change, and that does not have to be your normal, right? And like I said, from the question one, the reason why that is your normal is just because you're experiencing those roller coaster lifts and drops of the hormones, and they're not leveled, right? They're not in that level state. So that is the answer. So let me know if that was helpful. You can again post in the chat. Nathan, do we have any other questions? Okay, cool. All right. So those are the questions we had already. And if you think of another question, I'm going to just kind of hold space here for another second, just in case y'all want to post a question in the feed, and then I'll be here. Right. I'm going to just hold space for a second. Okay. Well, like I said, if any other questions pop into your brain between now and the next few days, just put it in the chat, and I'm here for you. And also, y'all, like, I know, like, this is like, okay, this is how I look at it. I am an open book, right? I talk about anything and everything going on in my body and my emotions. Like, I dig it. Like, I think it's super cool because we have such awesome, smart bodies that they're so powerful, right? The fact that they bleed every month, like, it's extraordinary. The fact that we can grow a baby is like awe-inspiring to me. I love talking about it. I talk about births. Like, I am a doula as well. So like birth, like all of this just fascinates me. But I do know, like, not all of you are like such an open book as I am and want to like put, all your PMS from hell, or be like, my partner did this and I did this. Was that hormone or was that just him being an ass? Like, right. You don't want to put that here. I get that, right? It's okay to be more private, and I honor that. And so if you are like, oh, I do have a question, but I don't want to broadcast it to the world, just send me a DM. Okay. My DMs are always open. You can send me a DM there, and we'll chat, right? I'll help you with your question there. And that is no big deal at all. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's our Q&A. Again, I am so thankful that you are here. Thank you for being a part of this awesome community of Empower Your Health. And just a little hint to y'all who are watching now. Some of you know, but not all of you, but Empower Your Health is about to go through a transformation. It's really building up a really awesome community. And so I am grateful that you have been with me as it has developed and grown. And I'm so excited that you're going to be within the group as it continues to grow and transforms into this awesome community of women where we can really step up and help each other with our emotions, with our PMS, with the She-Hulk, with relationships, with how we're feeling, and like making it more of a normal to talk about our periods, to talk about our smart bodies. And I think that's important for us to, honor ourselves, honor our power, balance those hormones, because the more we feel good in our bodies, the more our hormones are balanced, the more we can step into that creative power that we are, right? And then there we can help the world be a better place, because we can do that. We can manifest and change anything we want because we are part of that divine feminine, right? So that's my ultimate goal. And I'm really excited that you're here for that journey. And I will be back in the next few weeks or so for another Q&A. Until then, you can send me a DM or post in the group. And y'all do what you can to keep your hormones humming. And I'll see you next time.